There we are. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Nicola from the audiobook charity Listening Books, and I'm delighted to be joined by award-winning author of so many best-selling books. So we got My Name is Leon, Memoir, Without Warning and Only Sometimes, YA novel, Becoming Dinah, short story collection, Support Cast, and your latest book, obviously, The Best of Everything. And also Listening Books ambassador, Kit de Waal. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you. It's freezing outside here.
It is, isn't
Just
it?
the beginning. I mean, it's just the beginning of the winter. We know it's going to get worse, but it's still a shock,
I
especially
know.
after the great summer we had.
Mm.
We actually had a summer for a change. So I was horrified at the
Yes.
temperature.
When is it too early to get the big coat out? Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
not too
No.
early. No way. I came back from London really late last night, about 10 o'clock. And I had a Mac on, just a normal trench coat. Oh my goodness, it just went, the wind went through it. Big coat for me from tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And yeah, just a reminder, everyone, if you'd like to ask it a question, just pop it in the live chat and we'll ask that away. So yeah, how have you been doing, Kit? You've been on quite the whirlwind tour this year.
Yeah, I
How has that
really
been?
have. I have been going around literary festivals talking about the book and talking about other things that I'm passionate about. And yeah, busy. It's been a very busy year. I also judged the Women's Prize this year. So I had a lot of reading to do and a lot of judging to do and a lot of events for that. So I was doing my book, I was doing the Women's Prize. So yeah, busy year.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that later on, so might as well bring those questions forward.
Yeah.
So obviously the 2025 Women's Prize for Fiction had the long list was absolutely amazing. How difficult was the judging process for that?
It was difficult. I mean, there's a lot of books.
Mm.
If they're entered for the prize, they're good, anyway. So you're not saying, oh, this is a rubbish book. They're all good books.
Yeah.
Obviously, in my opinion, some of them are better than others. It was fabulous. It was a year of me saying, oh, I can't do the washing up. I've got to read a book. Or I can't come out for that social engagement. I'm so antisocial these days. I've
What
got
a
to read a
shame.
book. It was
Yeah.
lovely to have the excuse to read, and it was lovely to have an entire year reading women, which I've never done before. I read my sort of background of reading was to read the classics. And if you read the classics, you will find that you read many more men than women
Mm.
because the classics are dominated by men. And that has been my experience. So for the first time, I am reading women only for a year. And it was great. And it was a deep dive into what women are thinking.
Mm.
There was everything in there. There was a spy thriller, there was science fiction, there was love stories, time travel, historical novels, just great. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, how many books did you have to read in total? I mean, that must have been
Um,
amazing for your job.
I'd say I did read books that I didn't have to read, so everyone has to read a certain amount. I said I probably read about 100.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe just under 100. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. Also, you've supported the Bridgeport Prize's Never Too Late award for writers over 60. How important do you think that kind of recognition is for older or maybe overlooked writers?
Massively, massively important. What happens not just in publishing, but also in cinema, in TV, in music. Everyone's obsessed with the new thing, and the
Yeah.
new thing is generally the young thing. And so there can be a lot of focus on younger writers, on the new person coming through, and on younger, I would be talking about 30 to 40, and sometimes younger, but younger than that. And what happens is, if you're an older writer, you can feel very overlooked, and you are sometimes overlooked. And also, writers themselves tend to feel, oh, I might have missed the boat. Is it too late to start at 60 to be a beginner? I mean, the answer is no. It is never too late to start. It's never too late to be taken seriously. And it's never too late to be talking about the issues that are affecting older people. I mean, when I was younger, 60 was really old, and it wasn't just because I was younger. 60 was older, you retired. at 60, and you're very much into the beige slacks department. Well, 60 is not that anymore.
No.
It really isn't. And people are living longer and they're being vibrant longer and they're changing careers much later in life, 2 or 3 times. They are separating and getting divorced, coming out of relationships that no longer serve them or don't work, or they should have got out years ago. So there's a sort of bravery, strength, and kick assedness about getting older now that never was. So I think that publishing should reflect where we are now, not where we were 30 years ago and what 60 meant a decade ago even. It's a different, it's the last third of your life, but it is a third. And it's a viable third. And you might have a bit more time, you might have a bit more money, not much maybe, but you definitely feel as you get older, hang on a minute, I've always wanted to do that thing, whatever it is, might not be writing. When do I get my time? When do I get to do the things I really want to do? And there's loads of good writers coming through that are older writers. So long may it happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, take for example, you didn't publish your first novel until your career in family and criminal law, and then you went to university later in life. If you could give a piece of encouragement to aspiring writers like listening today, what would that be?
If you're an aspiring writer, what normally happens is people daren't say they're a writer. They go, oh, I do a bit of writing, or oh, I'm trying to write, or I might have a go. They're always putting themselves down.
Yeah.
People don't want to say I'm a writer, even though they're writing. They might write one poem a year. So that means you're a writer. That does mean you're a writer. So say it. First of all, own it. Don't be afraid to say, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. Have that commitment to yourself, especially if it's your passion. And also get stuck in. And by that, I mean, look at interviews with your favourite writer, read your favourite writer, go and see your favourite writer, read all their books, read widely, read outside of what you think you like. If you write fiction, then read non-fiction and vice versa. And if you only write romance, read a spy thriller, because you will learn something every time, and dissect the books you love. So if you've got your favourite book and maybe you've read it 3 times and you think to yourself, why did I cry on page 75? Interrogate that book. What steps did the writer take that made me cry on page 75? And it's by dissecting the things that you love that you learn the nuts and bolts of writing. It's very much like if you go out for a meal and you're really interested in cookery and somebody serves you something, you think, oh my goodness, is that thyme? Is that tarragon? How have they done that? Did they fry this? Did they boil it? Oh, they've served it with plain rice instead of fried rice. Whatever it is, think about the ingredients that have gone into the thing that you love and then try and copy it, just like going home and trying out the recipe. There's no more mystery than that, but it does take you taking a strategic approach to what you want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, you started with short stories, didn't you? Do you think poems, short stories is a great place to start?
Start small if you want to, but you don't have to. I actually started with screenplays, then I did short stories, then I did books. I'll never write poetry. I never read poetry. I can't do it. It's beyond me. I don't get it. Loads of people start there because it's small. And what I would say, small does not always mean easier by any stretch of the imagination. They're different forms, as opposed to being, oh, one's exactly the same, it's just one's half the size. No, there are different rules, there are different things that make things work. So definitely start where you feel comfortable, I would say. If that's poetry, start there. If you feel comfortable starting with your 120,000 word novel, start there. Start where your passion is, because it will sustain you.
Yeah, and just start. I think that is probably the hardest thing.
Put some words on the page, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And as a self-confessed audiobook fan, I thought we'd do a quick round of this or that, maybe, just to start things off a little bit. Right. So, are you more of a normal speed fan or a sped up audiobook fan?
Oh, I would never do the sped up. Oh my goodness. Never, 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 no. It's got to be at the tempo of the reader. I know that, I mean, I've done it a couple of times at the beginning, you know, like if they're saying something, if they're reading the forward. I don't like forwards of books, don't like them. So sometimes I'll do that really fast and I'm just sort of waiting for it to finish. But no, normal speed every time. Yeah.
Are you more short story or epic saga?
Don't really like an epic saga. I love short stories. I do love the novel. I do love a novel, but not necessarily an epic saga. And I have to say, I am sometimes put off when I see a book like this.
Right.
You know, if someone says to me, "Oh, read this book. It's only 180,000 words." I'm like, "Oh." I'm not saying I won't read it, but I know I could read 2 books, 3 books sometimes in
Yeah.
that time. So that would be, I would say, epic saga or short story. I'd read the short story.
I sometimes judge it with if I drop this on my head when I'm reading it in bed, is it too much? Would it hurt too much?
Good idea. Good gauge.
So are you a more one narrator kind of girl or full cast dramatization?
Oh, I love a dramatisation. So I love John le Carre, and some of the dramatisations of his books are absolutely superb. I mean, really good, second to none. I think also Graham Greene, big fan. There are some dramatisations of his work, so I do like it, but it has to be really good.
Yeah.
Has to be really good. You know, you don't want anything substandard. Um, but I do like the single narrator story as well. I think there is something lovely about that, something you can just drop into. The dramatizations tend to be shorter. So if you haven't got much time, that can, you know, it takes a 7, 8 hour novel and it's normally 2 to 3 hours for dramatization. So I listened to Smiley's People recently by John le Carre, read by Simon Russell Beale. Oh my goodness me. So good. So good.
Nice recommendation there. So are you a celebrity narrator or maybe more of a seasoned voice actor?
Love a seasoned voice actor. I don't really like celebrity. Full stop. You know,
Right.
I'm not a fan of the cult of celebrity in anyone. I like something well done.
Yeah.
So it could be your first time. You could be nobody. You could be, you know, an Oscar winner. For me, it's just got to be good. I'm not seduced by a name. It's just got to be good. One of the best narrators in terms of matching the reader with the story. One of the best matches is somebody, I think it's called Michael Moran, and he read The Sense of an Ending. Oh my goodness, top. Another one would be the guy, Sean Barrett, I think his name is, and
Yeah.
he reads Mick Herron. He reads all the
Oh,
Mick
the
Herron
slow
books.
horses ones.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, brilliant. And then there's, you can see I'm a fan. Then
Yeah.
there's somebody who reads. Now I don't know the name of the actor, but the name of the book is Old Filth by Jane Garden, and it's about a retired barrister. So he's quite posh, but it's the unreliable narrator. Oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And you have this sense when you're listening, when it's a good narrator and you're listening to it, it adds to the book. The book is the better for it. You're getting a bit performance, the narration, of course, you get the story, you get, but you get a little bit of, you know, if someone's sad, the voice is sad, and if someone's, you know, excited, they're talking like this. So you get that sense of input into the story. You're getting more than the words on the page. You're getting this performance. And Lenny Henry, who, I know this isn't part of your question, but I don't care. Lenny Henry, who narrated My Name is Leon, who I fought for, by the way. That was
Okay. Yeah.
not an easy get at all. So anyway, eventually got him, and he narrated My Name is Leon, and I went to hear him narrate it. And so
Yeah.
he's in this room behind a curtain, so I can't see him, but I can hear him. And I'm in the ante room with the engineer. Oh my goodness. I was so moved. I wrote the book.
Mm.
I wrote the work. And
Yeah,
yet the way he was reading it was
yeah,
so good. It's just great. So anyway, to come back to your question, seasoned, did you say seasoned actor or
mm,
celebrity?
yeah,
I'm going for seasoned actor every time. Yeah.
yeah. Nice. Are you a walk and listen kind of person or sit and relax?
I'm a traveller, so
Right.
normally I would have an audiobook on a plane, on a train,
Mm,
driving. Yeah.
yeah,
So you're not exactly relaxing. So I'd say probably I wouldn't walk. I would never walk around a park and listen to an audiobook. Never. That's music. But
mm,
if I'm sitting down, I do have to be sitting,
yeah,
and then I can just, I don't have to look where I'm going, for example. I'm just staring out of the window with this story playing in my head.
yeah. And are you a more fiction or non-fiction?
Good question. I would say if you looked at my reading list, there would be more fiction there, but I do love non-fiction.
Mm,
So one of the really, really good non-fiction books, and one of my favourite non-fiction authors is somebody called Ben McIntyre, and he wrote, believe it or not, I can't believe I listened to this, The History of the SAS.
oh, wow.
I mean,
Okay.
accident. I was on a festival and I really liked him. He was really interesting. He's got a great voice. And he said,
Mm,
oh, I'll just listen to this. It won't be very good. I'm not into the armed forces one bit.
yeah.
One of the best books I've ever listened to, read by the narrator.
Right.
And I've since listened to everything he's ever written. The best thing he wrote is called A Spy and a Traitor. It's a
Mm,
true story about one of the most infamous Russian spies that the British Secret Service recruited. It's like the best spy film. I mean, it really is like watching a film.
yeah.
He, the truth of this story is amazing, and it's
Mm,
read so well. He also wrote something about Colditz, the prisoner of war camp in Germany, which again, utterly brilliant, utterly brilliant. So yeah, I am a mix, I
yeah.
suppose.
It depends on how you're feeling as well, I guess.
Yeah,
Mm. And let's get on to the best of everything, because obviously
yeah,
that's what's out now at the moment. I was listening to a fascinating interview with you, which you mentioned the best of everything actually started with six main characters rather
yes,
than, and then it became Paulette became the focus.
yes.
What inspired that shift in the narrative?
It just didn't work. Didn't
Right.
work as the six. It was a bit too loaded. It was
Mm,
too hard to read. It was a bit like a buffet, a rich buffet where you've
yeah.
got that's too that's very heavy and thick and rich, and that's very heavy and thick and rich, and you actually haven't got any bread or salad.
Mm,
You want to have a mix of light and dark and soft and hard and plain and rich. And this was just rich, rich, rich. It was too much. It was
mm,
probably three books, and I had
wow.
crammed it into one.
Mm,
And so when I unpicked it, I realised it was Paulette's story and just rewrote it.
yeah. And will we see those characters again potentially in a future book, maybe, or some short stories?
Maybe,
Mm,
yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'd love to do another supporting cast,
yeah.
using some of the characters from my previous books and rewriting a short story collection. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Mm. And in the interview, you mentioned you had a crazy way of like so many spreadsheets and things of your notes and research. Could you talk us through that at all?
Yeah, I am a plotter. So if you're a writer, and I think I don't think most writers plot the way I do. So most writers would sit down with pen and paper and just start writing and think, oh my goodness, let's see where this goes.
Mm,
Am I going to write that? And literally they discover the story in the writing of it. I don't do that. So I discover the story in the thinking about it. I discover the story in plotting it, listening to music, maybe doing a character study. And when I've got the plot entirely, I will write it down. Um, on a spreadsheet and plot it out and then write the novel. Now, I don't look at the spreadsheet once I know what it contains.
Right.
I don't need to keep going back and go, oh, where am I? It's not that kind of thing. It's really for me to know that the story works, and then I'll just write it.
And I love how much food plays such like an integral role in your novels, especially in this one. There's such a beautiful moment between Nellie and Paulette later on in the story where food kind of almost feels like healing in a way. You write about food with such warmth and like sensory details. What draws you to that? Are using that as a storytelling device?
I'm quite convinced it's a story of poverty because
Right.
I was brought up in poverty. I was hungry all the time, all the time. We didn't have enough to eat. There were days we didn't eat at all. And food became, and still is, very important to me. It's definitely the way I show love to people. I'm not quite a force feeder, but I'm not far. So, I would be someone that would be saying something like, why don't you have one of those? Have one of that. What about that? What about if you don't want that, have that? I love, love, love cooking.
Mm.
And I cook hearty stuff. Not for me, the delicate dish or the tiny little bit of something with a swirl of pea puree. I'm not into
The
that kind of.
dots. Yeah.
I like, a bowl of stew
Mm.
or Irish stew or Lancashire hot pot or faggots and gravy. I'm that kind of a cook, old style, hearty, what people call peasant food. If someone said to me, would you rather have top side of beef, most expensive joint, or would you rather have oxtail soup? I'll have the oxtail every time. I
Mm.
like the long, slow, rich cooking. Um, because I suppose when these dishes grew up and when they were invented or perpetuated, it was for people who might only have one meal a day, and that meal had to work hard, had to
Mm.
fill you up, had to sustain you, had to give you enough food to get on with your usually manual job if you were a lower class person. It had to use very cheap cuts of meat or no cuts of meat, and it had to feed a lot of people on very little money. So it was very inventive. Taking oxtail, for example, which is heaven. That it's got a lot of fat in it. Fat's very
Mm.
good for you if you're working hard and using it. So, yeah, for me, it's a connection with people. It's the way I show love to people. It's also very creative, and it's very, very like writing. It really is like writing. You take these ingredients, you put a bit of this, a bit of that, and then you get this end result.
Yeah. And Paulette really stayed with me. She actually reminded me of my grandma, just these amazing women that do things by themselves. I mean, she adopted
Yes.
5 children, raised them all by them, just amazing. She goes through so much and has such incredible resilience. How did she find the strength to care for like Nellie for one of her own after what happened?
Um, Paulette's just got an enormous capacity for love. She really should turn some of it on herself. She doesn't
Yes.
normally. She's like looking for places to locate that love. She's an auxiliary nurse and she is really kind to her patients, especially the ones that don't get visitors. She's good to her friends, she's good to her neighbours, she's good to strangers. And it's just because she's got a big well of love to give. And anyone will know that part of being in any kind of relationship, a mother-daughter relationship, a friendship relationship, part of being in a relationship is giving. Obviously we get things from our friends, we get things from our family, but it's really hard not to give love to people if you have it within you. And it can be really hard to live without receiving it and without giving it.
Definitely. And I mean, without giving any spoilers, the culmination of Nellie and Bird's arcs, did they ever shift when you were writing them? Because I didn't, I don't want to say too much, but I didn't guess who would be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, they
Mm.
never shifted. Never shifted. I
Okay.
mean, that's
Yeah.
the benefit of plotting it. I knew what their relationship was going to be. And I knew that Paulette was going to love Bird That's the title of the book, The Best of Everything. She wants to give him everything she never had. What do I go to work for if not to buy him the expensive trainers? So she has that love for her son, but there is a special place in her heart for Nellie. And they're very different boys, very, very different boys.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the most striking things about the book is the emotional honesty as well. Were there any scenes that were particularly difficult to write? Because I know at some point I sort of had to stop the audiobook and think, I just want to give her a hug. It was
Yeah.
tough.
There was loads of scenes that were hard to write. In that, when you're a writer, you're the architect of someone's misfortune.
Mm.
You take this character that you love and you think, how can I make her life terrible? And that's what you have to do. All books are about conflict. If you have a book where there's no conflict, it's boring. So things have to happen that aren't good, that surprise you, that cause problems for your main hero or heroine. So yes, it was difficult to make a few of the things happen to her that were going to break her heart, but absolutely, important.
Yeah. Finally, what do you hope readers take away from Paulette's story when they finish?
I didn't know this at the beginning when I first started writing, but I didn't know it was a book about kindness. My editor actually said to me, "This is a book about kindness." I really would like people to take away the importance of the small gesture. So Paulette does much more than a small gesture of kindness. But I remember once walking down the road and I felt absolutely ghastly, just having a really bad day. And this woman stopped me. She said, "Oh, I love your trainers," because they were bright red trainers. And it just perked me up for the day. It's nothing. She carried on walking. We didn't talk about anything. She just went, "Great trainers." And you just think, oh, and you walk a bit differently and you feel seen. And it's a lovely, lovely thing to just say something, some throwaway nice comment, to hold the door for somebody if that's all you can do, or to smile at somebody, or to be nice to someone, or let someone in the queue. All of those things have this snowball effect in life. And you've made me feel better. I can then feel better about the person I'm going to interact with. There's so much shit in the world. There's so much nastiness, and it's highlighted. I don't believe that the world's a bad place. I just think we focus on the bad.
Yeah.
And I think those small acts of kindness are so important and so beautiful. And I think if we did more of them more often, all of us, it could change the world. I mean, literally, it could change the world.
Definitely. And I think just the last point on the book, I think it's brilliant how you brought a story to life with, because in the news you're told sort of like you got to climb the career ladder, you got to have this, you got to have that. Paulette, she wanted a family and she wanted community, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like
Absolutely.
a small life, not small life because it's huge,
No,
but
you're
yeah.
absolutely right. It's a small life. I mean, so often, as you say, what do we focus on? We do focus on celebrity. We do focus on the person that has got the big house or the big car or the big name or the fame or whatever. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. That's been happening since the beginning of time. But there are people living quiet, successful, happy lives at the other end of the economic scale, at the other end of the intellectual scale, who are getting on with their lives and happy and thriving. And also, it has to be said, for some people, it's a massive achievement to get out of bed. I got out of bed today. I had a shower today. I rang somebody today. I filled in a form today. It's a massive, massive achievement for many people just to leave the house, join a club, something like that. And I think we focus on sometimes the big, big, big events in our lives when every day that little bit of I'm still here, I'm still happy, and I'm really happy with my life. I'm happy in my bedsit. I'm happy in my little community that nobody knows exists. More of that, please. More of that, because those lives are viable and interesting and worthwhile and life sustaining for many people.
Definitely, yeah. And moving on to your memoir, Without Warning Only Sometimes, I thought it was fab listening to the audiobook. Obviously, it was wonderful to hear another Bidlan's voice.
Yeah.
Did you always plan to narrate the audiobook yourself, or was that a decision you made later on?
I was a bit reluctant to narrate it, to be honest. I just think I've got a horrible voice. Yeah, terrible. I never, for example, I would never listen back to this ever,
Right.
ever, ever. No, because it's cringeable.
Mm.
I can hear all my, like that. I'll do that, and I'll go, "Oh my goodness, speak properly." So I didn't want to narrate it at all. But for a memoir, it really helps to narrate it by the author. I don't know if you've listened to Bob Mortimer's.
Oh, I love Bob Mortimer.
Oh my goodness, so funny, so great. And
And
the other
Ted. Oh.
the other memoir I listened to was Frederick Forsyth. Just great. I mean, just brilliant. So I did, I knew that I was going to do it. I did do it. But there are certain parts in the memoir when I was narrating it where I was laughing so much. I can hear it when I listen back to that. There was bits of it, and I thought I can hear that I'm about to start laughing, and my voice has changed. So it was great. It was really good to narrate it, and it was. I don't know how good a job I've done. I suspect someone could have done a better job, but it is me. It is me talking about it.
Definitely. And I mean, was it harder emotionally than you expected potentially, or?
Not really. It was harder because it was funny when I got to the funny bits, and of course the funny bit might only be a paragraph, but I know I can see the scene.
Yeah.
So when I'm not just reading the words on the page here. I'm like reliving it and getting the joke all over again. That was really hard to get through those bits, and the engineer was just stopping it because I was laughing like that. So yeah, it was that was more emotional. The humour was, yeah.
And how long did the process take to actually record it?
Um, I was in the studio for 2 days, and you have to have a break because your voice goes. So I think it took 2 days to record. Obviously, it's not 2 days worth of recording, but I think it's 7 hours, maybe, or 6 hours long. But it took 2 days in the studio.
And what kind of made you decide the time was right to sort of tell your own story?
Flattery mostly. My agent said, "Oh, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great." And I said, "Yeah, I am great." So no, I never really thought it was time to write my own story. I just because after 23 I got very boring, which is why my memoir stops at 23.
Right.
So after 23 I did have a bizarre childhood, and I had an unusual childhood. So that was worth talking about. Less so after 23. I just got into gardening, so that's not interesting.
I love gardening. It is. It is to some people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Claire from Listener Books, the team, she asked, what are the challenges to using your own experiences in your books?
The challenges are to stay objective.
Right.
So if you are, so for example, in My Name is Leon, I put in there a useless social worker. There's a useless social worker in there who frankly should be working in a bank and not working with vulnerable children. And I did base him partially on somebody I know. And you absolutely have to make sure you're not writing revenge. You're
Right.
not writing out of spite.
Yeah.
But because they're just not good emotions to write from. So you do have to make sure that you are being objective and you're making the character serve the story, not the story serving the character or your wish to get your revenge on someone. So whenever you're writing from real life, you have to make sure that you have given it's got to be interesting to other people. What is interesting to me is not necessarily interesting to other people.
And just going on to My Name is Leon. So I love how that book and The Best of Everything sort of spotlight the love of found families and community. What inspired this sort of recurring theme in your work?
Do you know, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think about it in that way. I think I am definitely, excuse me, I'm definitely interested in what you just termed as a small life. I am interested in the nobodies. Um, I'm interested in the person in the kitchen at the party, not the person that's thrown the party. I'm interested in the people that don't think they're noticed. I love people that think they're not noticed. I just love that. The quiet person, um, yeah, that just always has fascinated me. I'm an introvert. I know people don't think I am, but I'm a real introvert. And I'm always interested in people that aren't pushing themselves forward, that think maybe they've got nothing to say and there's nothing interesting about them. There's always something interesting about people. Always, always, always. Every person on the earth has got desires and a love and a secret and something they care about and something they wish they had or they wish they'd done better or some regret. There's not a person on this earth that hasn't got something precious to them, and a desire and a secret hope or whatever. And that's what interests me. And if that translates into care or caring stories, then that's fine. But that's what I would write every single time about those people. It interests me more than anything else.
And I mean, for me, I when I go out for a walk, there's always this man I walk past who's got his headphones on and he's like walking really fast but almost dancing, and I'm like, I really want to know
Yeah,
what your life is, that kind
yeah,
of thing. Is that kind of
yeah,
what you?
exactly
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so the person, the quiet person. When I was growing up, and I won't say her name, there was a woman, middle-aged woman. So let's say I'm 25 at this point, and this woman was 60, and she had a daughter that was 40, and they dressed the same, very, very similar. And they always were together, and the woman's husband had died, so it's just the woman and her daughter. And they were so kind, they were so lovely, and a person more different from me, it would be very hard to find. They dressed like someone from the 50s, the
Oh,
60s, or
okay.
they were really, really old fashioned. And this young woman, the 40-year-old woman, not much older than me, she was, what you would call plain Jane. I was super trendy. Oh my God. I've got the best clothes on. I'm doing this. I'm listening to music. I'm going to the clubs, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got this woman, very different from me, very square. And she used to have a powder compact, which no one at my age had anyway. She had this powder compact, and she'd powder her face like something from post-war or the Second World War. Very, very square. Oh, I loved her. She was so interesting. She was so kind. Her mom was so kind, and she was really funny. She had this great sense of humour, this great way of looking at the world. She was sharp and she was funny, and she had her own quiet confidence. And I saw a picture of her the other day, just going through some old pictures. And sort of person that warms your heart, as different from me and my background as it is possible to get, and yet we met on that plane of finding each other interesting.
Yeah.
I thought she was fascinating. She probably thought I was fascinating. I never asked her, but I'm putting words in her mouth. But we just met on this plane of interest and openness into someone else's life.
I feel like there's definitely something in that, because a lot of us want to be like other people, but
Yeah,
uniqueness, there's something that draws us to that. So yeah.
especially someone who's unapologetically themselves.
Yeah.
No doubt she could have, wore more trendy clothes and had a better haircut. But she's like, no, this is me. I like the tweed skirts. I like my anorak. That's who she was. She wasn't trying to be trendy. She wasn't trying to be like me. She didn't want to be like me. She was herself, happy in her own skin, kind in her own skin, interesting person living this just quiet, contented life, and more of that. I love that. I love anybody who is 100% authentically themselves.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, My Name is Leon, just going back to that quickly, was added to the curriculum, which was amazing.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
I've got a friend who is an English teacher, who's trained to be an English teacher, and the syllabus has not changed in years and years and
Yeah.
years. So, what was your reaction when you found out that was being added?
Well, I was amazed because there's three, I won't say it, but three F's in there. And I just thought they'll never, they'll ask for a special edition of the book. They'll never do a book with swear words in. Oh, yes, they will. So, first of all, I was shocked because of that. I was so pleased. I was really, really pleased because Leon is a story about um, forgotten people, children in the care system, people don't think about. It's about a quiet portion of society, people that have mental health problems, people that are, economically challenged, people that are broke, poor, living in a tower block. It's about those people. I come from that. They're my people. But you don't often see them represented in literature. And if you do, it's unusual for it to be in mainstream, you know, on the curriculum for everybody to read. So I was really pleased, and I think maybe it will start conversations in the classroom with children that come from those backgrounds, and especially for children that don't know about anyone from those backgrounds. Great for some children to see themselves represented in a book, but also great for people that don't have any conception about those social issues to be reading about it.
Definitely. And I mean, it's so much better for them as well than they can see themselves rather than studying Shakespeare. Which I mean, obviously Shakespeare is amazing,
Shakespeare's
but
great. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Have both. You
yeah,
know, no one's saying get rid of Shakespeare. Shakespeare's fantastic. Keep the classics by all means. There's such
yeah,
a lot to learn from them. They're beautifully written books that have endured for many years for good reason.
yeah,
Add to those books and give the children the choice of here's this classic literature, what can we learn? And here's this new book, what can we
yeah.
learn?
Definitely. And I mean, we're seeing fewer younger people read for enjoyment and pleasure, which is such a shame. Which book would you love to see added to classrooms, or would you recommend children to read to, get that love of reading again?
Well, good question. I tell you what, I would start with for children that are reluctant readers. And I've got two children, neither of them have read my books. They just haven't. They're not readers.
Mm,
So, not everyone's a reader.
yeah.
There's a really good poet called Tony. Anyway, he's called the Long Fella because he's very, very tall, 6 foot. Tony Walsh, his name is. And he writes poems that are, you wouldn't even call it a poem, it's more like he's talking. And he writes these poems about normal lives. And I think a gateway into reading for a lot of children could be I'm going to write a rap verse, or I'm going to write a spoken word poem. And no, it hasn't got a rhyme, and it's not going to be about a meadow. And sometimes starting off where children are, it's, there's loads of children that are going to read Shakespeare because
Mm,
they come from the sort of family where you would read Shakespeare, or you'll read the classics, or you just read for pleasure. There's many more families where there is no book. There are no books, and it's not the sort of family where someone's going to go to the library. We don't go to libraries in our family, or we don't not comfortable in libraries.
mm,
And so for a lot of children, starting where they are, often with music or with song lyrics, and song lyrics are poems. So start where they are. I would like to see some of that on the curriculum. I'd love to see Tony Walsh's work on the curriculum. He reads some of it, and there is a very good spoken word poem of his. It's about 2 minutes long, and it's on YouTube, and it's called A Girl Like, And it's this guy talking in the voice of a girl who hasn't got anything and she wants to be loved. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called A
mm.
Girl Like, and it's by Tony Walsh, and it's on YouTube.
Definitely. And just going to audiobooks as well, because that obviously sometimes helps certain
Yes,
readers who, find a
absolutely.
challenge. If you could recommend one audiobook to convert the next listener, what would you pick?
Are we talking about a child or an adult?
Well, both, if you
Okay,
have different
for a
recommendations.
child,
Mm,
I would choose Michael Morpurgo's rendering of King Arthur,
right.
read by, oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so
Mm,
good. It's so good. The voice is great. The story's great. So my son's severely dyslexic, which is how I got into audiobooks.
yeah.
And magnificent. I mean, all Michael Morpurgo's books are great, and
Mm,
they're all narrated brilliantly, by the way. But that one in particular is brilliant. And this is for a very reluctant reader. My son's a reluctant reader. He would have been 11 or 12 when he was listening to this. And it's a brilliant, brilliant story. Really well done. So that's my adult.
yeah.
For my children, sorry, that's my children. This is my adult. I would recommend The Thing About December, which is a book by Donal Ryan, Irish writer, narrated by Donal Ryan. It is, the story's fantastic, the reading is fantastic, and it's so good. I mean, I just really, really recommend it. It's not long. It's not long at all. And Donal Ryan's one of my favourite writers, and I'd say this is his best book, and that
Mm,
is high praise.
yeah. Okay, going to my TBR. So you've written across so many forms. You've done a memoir, YA novel, short stories, collections. Is there a genre you'd love to try next, or do you have a favourite amongst them? Is that
I
trying to
do
choose your
think I
favourite
do
child?
think I would like to read. I'd like to write a children's book.
Mm,
Um, I mean, a really young children's book, a sort of a picture book. Um, when I was when my children were young, I remember reading the same book over and over again, and that's because it's
yes.
brilliant. You know,
Mm,
that's why you're reading it again, because it has a rhythm and a comfort for the child. And one of my ambitions would be that I write a book that children want to listen to again and again.
beautiful. That'd be lovely. Yeah. And finally, what's next in the pipeline for you? I heard there may be a follow up to My Name is Leonga,
So
maybe?
I have just finished it, and it's just gone to my publisher. She will send it back to me with some changes and some comments, and that will probably be out at the end of 26 or 27.
So exciting. Was that difficult writing a follow up to such a popular book?
No, it
No.
was
Okay.
joy, just a straightforward joy. I loved it. I loved it. I know Leon very well. I knew the other characters very well, so it was nothing but a joy.
Lovely. And I'd love to know, being from the Midlands, what your favourite bookshop is around that kind of area.
My favourite bookshop is Warwick Books, which is in the centre of Warwick. They're
Yeah.
the only people I know where I could put something on Twitter, like Warwick Books, can I have this? And they'll order it to me, and sometimes they deliver it. And they're
Wow.
fantastic. I mean, they're great. I can send them a text and say, "Can I have this?" and they just get it for me. It's brilliant. They're wonderful.
I think there's a lovely one in Kenilworth as well, if
There's a
I'm right.
lovely bookshop in Kenilworth as well, in
Mm.
Talisman Square. Yes, and there's also a really good one in Kings Heath.
Okay.
That just won an award, I think, as Bookshop of the Year, and
Mm,
it's on Kings Heath High Street. It's a really lovely bookshop.
mm. And obviously, you've got the tour going on. Is it Warwick Art Centre you're in next? Because that is such a beautiful place to
I'm there
lovely.
tonight. Yeah,
Tonight. Wow,
tonight.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay. And then just to close, what's the one thing you hope readers or listeners take away from your stories?
And everybody matters. Nobody doesn't matter. Everybody's important. Um, yeah, quiet lives are valid. People that want normal, ordinary, humble things are, are important.
Definitely. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. A big fan of your books and everyone else is in the team. So, yeah, thank you so much. And good luck on the Warwick Art Centre tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks everyone for joining today.